Hey, this is JT. Welcome to the backyard and welcome to Body Weight Strength. This video, I'm going to give you 2 simple stretches to help improve ankle dorsiflexion. Ankle dorsiflexion simply means flexing and pointing the toes up toward the body. And it's crucial that you have decent ankle dorsiflexion if you ever want to be able to squat butt to heel. And it's going to be hugely important as you progress through a squat progression playlist if you want to be able to perform full side-to-side squats or to perform an unassisted pistol squat. You're going to need good ankle dorsiflexion. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you both stretches, and I'm going to explain why ankle dorsiflexion is crucial if you want to get to those advanced squat variations or if you want to take your squats butt to heel. Let's get to it. I'm going to demonstrate very quickly why adequate dorsiflexion is important for a full depth squat. When I go to do a full depth squat, what you'll see is my knees are going to come forward just a tad past the toes, and that's going to allow you to maintain proper spinal alignment, get into the full depth squat, and come back up. If you have inadequate ankle dorsiflexion, what's going to happen is as you begin to descend, the knees can't come forward far enough, and my toes are already beginning to lift up, and if I continue to try to squat, I'm going to fall backwards. And so the knee not being able to come forward far enough as a result of poor ankle dorsiflexion is what we're going to address. Now I'm going to give you the 2 stretches. Now this first stretch is going to primarily work the gastrocnemius, which is the larger, more visible muscle in the calves. The gastroc and the soleus both attach to the tendon most commonly referred to as the Achilles tendon, and then they attach the calcaneus, which is the heel bone. And the problem with stretching just the gastroc, which is what I most commonly see people do, is that if you have tight calves, which are exceedingly common in today's society because of the amount that we sit excessively, it shortens the hamstrings, also the calves, so you have really tight calves, real tight hamstrings, and what happens is we need to address that gastroc certainly, and so we need to stretch it out, but because the gastroc is so tight, you get an inadequate stretch of the actual tendon where it attaches down toward the calcaneus. And so first we're going to stretch that gastroc, and all you're going to do is lean against a wall, or in this case I'm going to use my rack. You're going to lean against the wall, and I like to do one leg at a time. If you do both legs, you can't get as deep of a stretch generally, so I'll do one and then the other. And what you're going to do is take a nice step, and you're just going to lean into the wall. And when you do this, one side, then the other side, you should feel the stretch here throughout the gastrocnemius. But what you're probably going to notice is you're not going to feel much of a stretch down here where the actual tendon attaches, like I mentioned. And so the first thing you're going to do is stretch that gastroc out. And I would suggest doing this at least 1 minute per side per day. And if you have tight calves, if you have poor ankle dorsiflexion, I definitely would do this daily. But I would do 1 minute per side, and that's going to stretch out that gastroc. The key is keeping the heel firmly planted on the ground. So the whole time you're doing these stretches, the heel needs to be down. You don't want the heel to come up. So you're going to do that first, 1 minute per side. And then the second stretch is going to be a little bit more technical. And this is going to be to address the soleus, and you're going to feel it get down to the tendon where it attaches, like I mentioned a minute ago. And so let me demonstrate that for you. Now for the second stretch, you're going to want to perform this after 1 minute per side of the gastroc stretch. And what you're going to do is you're going to crouch down, just like I'm doing here, and you're going to lean forward, bringing your knee over the center of the foot. It's important to keep it tracking right over the center. And what you're going to do is lean in to the stretch. You're going to take your chest on top of the knee. You're going to reach forward. And what this is going to do, using your body weight, the weight of your upper body, on top of that knee, leaning down and forward while keeping your ankle placed firmly on the ground, what it's going to do is going to allow you to stretch the tendon toward the bottom that you cannot really get effectively with a gastroc stretch if you have a tight gastroc in the first place. So you're going to perform this stretch, and if you're sitting back like this, your butt should not be on top of the heel. Your butt should be up, your glutes are up, and you're pushing down and forward, bringing the knee right over the middle of the foot and applying that pressure forward to stretch that tendon out. You should feel it if you're doing it properly. I'm going to give you another angle on the other side. And what you want to do with that hind leg, you don't want your hip flexors to limit how far you can take the stretch. So if your knee is too far back, what's going to happen is now it becomes a hip flexor stretch. And if you have poor hip flexor, flexibility, mobility, it's gonna limit what you're able to do on that ankle. So if that's the case, simply bring the knee forward more. So you're at about 90 degrees here. Don't let the hip flexor, don't let this become a hip flexor stretch. Straight over the middle of the foot. Sitting tall, not letting my butt hang back there. And so now, simply leaning forward, keeping the heel planted on the ground, and stretching out the soleus, and also making sure that we get the bottom of the tendon there where it connects to the calcaneus. And I'll give you a side view, see if that helps you out. Again, butt high, sitting tall, taking the upper body and putting my weight down on that knee, and keeping the knee tracking right over the center of the foot. And give you that side view one last time. Again, repositioning the knee so it does not become a hip flexor stretch. And that's it. 1 minute each side on the gastroc stretch, 1 minute each side on this stretch. Doing those two things, you should be able to notice an increase in dorsiflexion at the ankle in a single session, but especially performing this day after day, you should notice steady progress. Depending on how bad your mobility is up front, it might be slow going for you, but it will make a difference and it will improve your squat depth. If you have questions, ask and I'll answer in the comments below. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, click the notification bell, and as always, thank you for supporting Bodyweight Strength.